What is up, fight fans? So today we're going to talk about the physics system, which is probably one of my favorite things in this game, in Esports Boxing Club, especially after playing it. So is the physics system deep? Spoiler alert, it is. Let's jump right into it. Okay, so the physics system was first revealed in, I believe, the March trailer, where they talked about where if your arm is just in the way, even if you're not pressing a block button per se, it will assist in blocking your body or your head, whatever it is. Wherever your arm is resting, it actually could also create a block for you. This created incredibly varied and dynamic fights that help with reducing things that could be exploits. That's the good thing about the physics system and the way that everything kind of flows in a disconnected way. There isn't something that you could always trigger that will perfectly happen every single time. And that could assist in keeping people from doing something that is overbearing no matter what. For example, in Fight Night Champion, no matter what, there's a magnetization system, there's a counter window system that kind of freezes your opponent. There's so many different things, and that lends to the possibility of sidestep uppercuts or step back straight rights. But because the two fighters are disconnected and there's a physics system involved, and the punches aren't always super perfect all the time, you can easily miss with small movements. That reduces the chances of something like that happening. Of course, I think at one point a meta will be found out. However, I am hoping that the meta is simply being the best at figuring out your opponent and boxing, because that can be the case. It's the same thing with other fighting games like Super Smash Brothers. If you watch the gameplay, it looks amazing, and the meta doesn't create a poor viewing experience. It's still an exciting viewing experience, even with the meta taken into account, because the top players all play within the meta. I'm hoping that because of this disconnection and physics system, that's the same thing with ESBC. Now, let's talk about the physics system. This was one of the things that I was the most excited about. I would probably almost go as far as saying I'm the most excited about the physics system when it comes to ESBC because of its dynamic nature and the things that you can do and the creativity that you could apply to the game. One thing that I did 100% when I found out that Caleb Plant had the Philly shell is, let me put this physics system to the test for real. So I picked Caleb Plant, and boy, was it true to life. I mean, I was using the Philly shell, but I was also rolling. I had to roll. I had to move, you know, my upper body to get this hand to be in a better position for the strike that was coming. I had to lean back and let it kind of come off my shoulder. I would do the straight right counter, and because in the game you can block and punch the straight punches, I was able to keep my arm blocking my body and shoot my straight right, which was incredibly satisfying, especially when you rolled, caught the punch right off the shoulder, and then boom, hit him with a counter. And that bump off of the shoulder would register as a counter, which was beautiful. But there were even moments where all I did was roll and move and step in and step out and roll and keep rolling and slip back and slip forward and do all these different things to catch the rhythm of my opponent. I remember one time I went up to the ropes. I think I was fighting Showbiz, and I put that to the test, and you just see me rolling, pulling this up, because the way you move your head kind of moves different things in the Philly shell, so it really looks like the Philly shell. Moving this up, rolling, stepping forward, letting it go over my head, rolling again, coming around, blocking this, spinning, blocking it on my shoulder, staying here, pop shot at him, stepping back, catching here. Like, it was just magnificent. And it's very apparent because the way people could easily miss in this game is crazy. It's crazy. It essentially has completely eliminated button mashing or spamming any buttons, because there's nothing that's guaranteed. You think you're guaranteed just because you're in range and you can just start throwing punches? No, you'll miss just from the little quirks that your opponent does. You'll start missing. So you gotta time punches. You gotta wait for certain things to happen. Like, one thing that I was comfortable with was when my opponents were blocking. Believe it or not, I was comfortable when my opponents were blocking, hitting them. Why? Because I knew the quirks were not going to be there. They were going to have a static, block. And as long as I got in the correct range, I could punch right around the guard. So I would use that a lot to my advantage. Once I saw that they were in a defensive kind of a position, or defensive in a defense mode, and I saw that they put their hands up and they're trying to block what I'm doing, I would throw some throwaway punches. And then when I see that they're blocking, I'll get right in range, the perfect range to go around their guard, where that means I'm closer than I want to be, but I'm banking on the fact that they're gonna hold their guard up. And then bang, 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 and then step back. But that gave me an opportunity to hit them when they're not really moving. The way for them to counter that is literally to step back and get me to punch into their glove, or lean back and get me to punch into their glove, or lean forward and get me to punch over their head. So it wasn't like it was guaranteed, these hits are gonna be guaranteed or anything like that. But I did them, I timed them, I did them so fast, and I didn't overdo them so that they either wouldn't catch on or do something to counter what I was doing. So I would stop, but that's all rooted in the physics system. Just because you block doesn't mean you're gonna block, which also eliminates pump blocking, which I love, because pump blocking just looks horrible when watching it being viewed when playing the game. But if you pump block here, you're gonna get hurt. It's 100% you're gonna get hurt, because what ends up happening is, because of the physics system, going like this just keeps you static. There's no quirks that you're doing, keeps you completely static, and it doesn't really block you because you're going like this and boom, you can easily get hit. Or when you're right here, you can get hit right here or right here, because you're not fully set. You're like barely setting yourself. So it's such an open area to hit you, and you're static because your fighter's not doing all these quirks. It actually works in your favor to allow your fighter to do some of the quirks. That's why loose footwork also helps, because there's a lot more quirks when you're in loose footwork, and it just makes you much tougher. If you're confident, you kind of let your fighter do his quirks, and once you get tagged, you kind of move away. But doing the quirks could frustrate your opponent, and you could let the quirks happen and then come in and hit him with a counter. So I think that the physics system just opens this game up to a massive amount of creativity, Heck, there were times when we would jab each other's jab, and you would hear an audible like poof, like two gloves just hit, and you would see it wouldn't feel like something like that. It would actually feel stiff, like we just smacked each other's gloves with a punch. I've hooked and someone else hooked, and we've hit each other's hooks. That's how much of physics are in the game. It's almost like a sandbox where you can basically do whatever you want regarding that physics system, and I absolutely love that. I just do. I thought it was fantastic, the physics system, and this is with us using the casual mode. We didn't even get to use the hardcore mode where we have 6-point blocking. That's gonna open things up even more. Imagine the Philly shell with 6-point blocking. I don't know exactly what happens, but if you could put the glove here and catch and then shoot, like, oh my goodness, there's gonna be a lot of creative stuff going on in this game. So just wanted to talk about the physics system. Just wanted to break down my experience when actually playing with the physics system when I got my hands on ESBC. Boy, did it deliver. You guys are 100% gonna love this once you play, and I just love how it makes things dynamic and varied, and it's harder for somebody to game the system when it's so fluid and dynamic the way the physics system is here. There isn't something that will work no matter what every single time. You have to time things, you have to look at your opponent, you have to pay attention, you have to have a rhythm, a flow, you have to do certain things to make things work, and nothing in this game is guaranteed. And that's all because of that physics system. Let me know down in the comment section below, what do you guys think about the physics system? Are you guys even excited for it? Do you want the things that make things happen all the time, kind of like those fighter games where no matter what, if you do this thing, it will always work? There's no timing needed or anything like that. as long as you're within the range. Do you want it to be that way where it always happens so that you can have this feeling of, or this sense of security? Or do you want the varied and vast physics system where you need to figure things out, you need to time things, and things don't always work out? Let me know in the comment section below. This is Edward from Boxing Fanatico, and I'll see you in the next one.